Just a second. Um, all right. So, hi everyone. My name is Shivani. I'm a UX writer and a content designer at Upstream. Uh, a lot of my work involves writing user-friendly microcopy, and for I've spent quite some time doing it, and I felt like I should, help other people uh, do the same. So writing microcopy can be tricky, and microcopy can be anything you see in a software product or
Shivani, sorry,
yeah,
Puneet here. Are
yeah,
you sharing your screen?
yeah. I am. Are you not able
No,
to see it?
it's stopped.
All right, okay. Really sorry about that. Let me share again. Um, just can you see it now?
Yes, Shivani.
All right,
Yes.
all right. So, all right. So, microcopy can be any form of text that is content on a web page or in a software application. So, there is a very popular quote from Nielsen and Norman Grove. It goes, quality content speaks clearly to people, it builds trust, and it gets them to perform certain action that helps the organization's goals. So it could be getting someone to sign up for their product. Could be the goal could be anything basically. So with these goals in mind, you should try to write your content. So throughout the workshop, please keep these three goals in mind. Your content should speak clearly to people, it should build trust, and it should get them to perform in action. All right. Yeah. So the workshop is broken down in four parts. In the first part, we'll try to understand what microcopy is. Next, we'll explore the best practices for writing generic microcopy. Then we will delve deeper into different types of microcopy and how to write those specific kinds of microcopy. At the end, we'll get into an activity. It will be it will be a collaborative activity. You'll be split into groups of 10 people, and together you'll have to work on writing some microcopy. So let's try to understand what is a microcopy. It is very important to understand because without a clear definition, it is difficult. You might, not be able to meet your goal of writing microcopy. So microcopy is nothing but the small bits and pieces of content within an application's user interface. So writing microcopy involves a lot of strategic thinking. Uh, it it means you have to place in short, purposeful snippets of text, and its applications are guiding users, improving interactions, and enhancing the overall usability of the product. Usability is a term used to define how easy a product is how easy is the product easy to use. So microcopy can also be used to it can be leveraged to provide guidance to users. It can be in the form of an onboarding experience. It can be in the form of labels, general instructions, tooltips, or a very intuitive information architecture within an application. Also, it can be used to offer feedback on the actions taken by the users. Uh, Examples of microcopy that that I use to give feedback to the user are success messages and error messages or validations. You all must have seen them while using the different apps you already use. Including microcopy in products serves both the makers and the users of the product in many ways. First of all, it helps establish a clear communication, and it makes sure the user or the customer understand and use the product. Secondly, users or customers frequently run into issues when they don't understand what is an icon or a feature or any element is for. So having clear labels can stop that from happening. Thirdly, if the product content is null, that is non-existent or very technical, users might not be able to perform the tasks, even if it's a very simple task. Microcopy ensures users feel confident while using the product, are satisfied, and as a result, they keep on being your customers. Uh, Now, before we get into the microcopies uh, and their principles, I wanted to discuss a little bit about the role of user needs. So, user need is an action that the user wants to take, and this action leads is taken to achieve a certain goal. User needs are formed usually when the software is not able to serve its purpose. If a particular part of the user experience is causing some sort of difficulty to the user. So if the user need is not met, that results into too many complaints or support tickets. And if there are too many complaints, that means we as the by we I mean the product makers need to do better. And that is what you come into play. So by writing user-friendly copies and keeping user needs in mind while writing the microcopy, you can avoid that. So understanding user needs involves identifying the pain points of the users and the different opportunities using which you can address those pain points. Writing a user needs statement helps at this point. A user needs statement is nothing but if you look at the right, uh, there's a fill in the blank sort of sentence structure. So I'll take an example of a user who is not able to access the dashboard. So using this template of a user need statement, I can write the user need. I can clarify the user need in my mind. And after that, if I write the microcopy, I'll be able to justify it to the stakeholders to whom I'll deliver it. So, taking the inaccessible dashboard example, uh, we can, form it like as a user who is unable to access the dashboard, I need to find out what is wrong because I have this or that task that I'm trying to perform. So once that is clear, you can chart out a user journey and you can put in this user. Okay, by raise of hands, how many of you know what a user journey is? Um, does anyone know what a user journey is? All right, let me see how many raised hands. Okay, two people. So a user journey is, suppose your product is new. So uh, the first step in the user journey will be the user will log into your app. Okay, the second step will be they'll they'll be at the home page, so they'll try to explore, okay, what is the interface like, you know, where is the menu, what do the different buttons in the menu stand for. This is the second step. And the third step is somewhat like, the user performs a certain task using the knowledge he or she has gathered so far. So it's a step by step series of the actions that user takes. All right. So the purpose of me telling you this is, before you create a copy or a design, we need to put ourselves in the user's shoes. If we know whether which step the user at is at in the user journey, we can accordingly tailor our microcopy for them. So you have to try imagining what issues they may be facing, if there are any emotions they are experiencing, and once you know you have that information, you can craft your copy in a way that helps them. For example, the inaccessible dashboard example, the user would be feeling somewhat frustrated or confused, and they may end up closing the application. There, you have an opportunity to introduce a microcopy, and you have to write it in a way that the user who is already very frustrated, he, you cannot make it authoritative. Okay, something like, you made a wrong step, you need to do this to get that done. Nothing like that. You have to be very calm, you have to be very reassuring. You cannot blame the user. So all I'm trying to say is, you need to understand the specific emotions or feelings the user may be having, and then write the microcopy according to that. All right. All right. I wanted to touch upon this a little bit. So most of the users who use software applications or browse the internet, look at the articles or whatever, they don't really, read the text. They scan through it. You try observing yourself, and in case you already have, then that's a good thing, because users will not read your content. They skim through it. And these days, I've seen a pattern where users are just scanning the content. They're not even stopping to gather the meaning of a word, because they have already read that word before. So they're not gonna read it slowly. They're very quickly going to scan the sentence and then another sentence. And if they think there is some information out on the screen that's making them confused or feel frustrated, they're gonna skip reading it. So what I wanted to tell you was, the more the number of words on a page, the less likely will the user be inclined to read your content. And for every 100 words that are added to the page, the pressure or the load on a person's mind, it increases by 11%. And more they feel they find it difficult to read, the more likely they're gonna, close the page, or, start using some other software application. All right. So I use this concept to explain a lot of my microcopy decisions. Uh, so the pressure or the load on the brain I was talking about, when you see a lot of content in front of you, it's called cognitive load, and it's the maximum quantity of information a working memory can keep at once. Since the human mind is almost almost always busy, it's always thinking, it's always processing some information. So when you when you're using a product or you're going through a website, it does not have the time to read difficult words or technical words. It just, your brain will prefer pages that are simpler to understand or products that are simpler to use. So it is therefore very crucial to write content that do not overload the user's brain. Um, so here the moral is you have to write keeping empathy for the user in your mind. If you write without empathy, you will keep writing technical content so complex that your user will not be able to, understand it or, be interested in reading it. And next up, I wanted to take some time to clarify some principles of writing microcopy because at the end we will be working on a activity. So microcopy principles, although there are many, but these five are the most important ones. When you're writing a microcopy, you have to be very clear. You have to be very consistent. And you have to be very empathetic, actionable, and you have to provide some feedback to the user. By clear, I mean your copy should not leave any ground for guessing that the user has to guess from reading after reading your content what it means. You have to be very clear. There should be no ambiguity, and you have to be at the same time make your text concise. Secondly, when you're writing my copy, you have to make it consistent. By consistent, I mean if you are writing error messages for your company in a professional or a formal tone, then all of a sudden, you for a couple of error messages, you cannot decide to write in a very casual tone. So consistency and is sorry is very important. Thirdly, empathy. I've already talked about it. It just involves understanding where your user is coming from. If most of the time the brain is busy and you need to give them what they need, not everything at once. So you need to present your content in a to the point, straightforward manner, not burdening them with the overload of information. Fourth, we have actionable, and it just means your copy. It should motivate people to take certain action. An example of this would be a call to action button at the end of form. Uh, instead of saying, instead of saying go to home, you can just make it more actionable. Like if you compare to microcopy, you have to make sure the second version of your microcopy is always actionable. Uh, Last one is feedback. You have to find ways of providing helpful feedback and guidance to the user wherever they are in their journey. So, since we have covered the principles, I would like to just go over some of the best practices before we we take a deep dive into the various kinds of microcopy. Okay, simplify. By this, I mean you have to keep the content very simple so that the user is able to read it with ease. An example is, sorry, but there is an example here. In the original sentence, I have, written it in a very technical way. And then there is a simplified example. Now, um, both the sentences mean the same thing. That is, they're conveying to the user that they have to send your papers fast. So we can, get the application checked very quickly. But the second one is easier to read and understand. So the technique here is to make the information very simple to understand You can achieve this by cutting down the number of words with every version of your copy and by replacing difficult words with their simpler alternatives. All right. Second best practice is to remove unnecessary text and duplicates. This is also, popularly known as keeping the text concise. So it just means if the content is cluttered with unrequired and repetitive information, it makes reading a very tedious activity. Again, there is an example. The original one says the same thing as the simplified version, but it has been, spread through two sentences, and those two sentences are also very long. Instead of going on and on about how to, how keep entering the password is important, we can just say it in one sentence. Enter your password to keep your account safe. So while removing unnecessary text and duplicates, keep in mind that you're not cutting down any important information. Uh, important information can be made simpler, shorter, and other than that, whatever text is unnecessary that is not required in that moment needs to be cut down. And any sort of repetition, for example, in this example, if you see, for the purpose of ensuring the security of transactions, customers are required to input their password. To ensure the safety of your account, please enter your password. So, enter your password. This information has come up twice. We don't need to. We don't really need to, say it twice. And this form of duplication is very common. Most people don't realize it, even if they're very good writers. So, yeah, that's about it. If you do so, it will make your content to the point and it will help the user consume the information much faster. And they'll be able to, get on with the tasks they were performing. Uh, Next up, we have getting rid of jargon and fancy words. So, jargon and fancy words such as abomination or microservices, etc., make the content non user friendly. And users, trust me, do not like that. So, you have to avoid using such phrases or words, as not everyone will understand their meaning. You see, most people have average vocabulary and they are not familiar with complex words or industry specific terms. Talking to the users in a language that they will understand makes a positive impact on product's usability. So it's people sometimes mistake it for dumbing down the content, but it's not dumbing down. It's rather making your content accessible to all people from different backgrounds, cultures, or different preferences, or people with disabilities, even. An example is given here. Participants in the program will receive remuneration commensurate with their level of contribution to the overarching goals of the initiative. Now, this is a very complicated sentence. It can just be, simplified and made you get paid for helping us reach our goals. We just need to give the user the bottom line. Nothing else, nothing like just nothing else, nothing less, and nothing more. Again, it's not dumbing down, but making your content accessible. The last best practice is to make the content readable. Readability is nothing, uh, it's a very popular term in UX research and basically everything UX. So it is the ease with which your content can be read by someone. And this someone can be anyone. It can be a person with autism. It can be a person who has an IQ of who has the highest IQ. But the content should be readable and it should be easy to read. It's very important because if it's not easy, most people will lose interest and they will skip reading it. And you don't want that. Ask yourself and others how easy to read is your content. I regularly, when I'm in doubt, I go ahead and show a bunch of people around me. Do you understand my content? Is it easy to read? And once I have the inputs, I, alter my content, make the adjustments, and then I deliver. An example is given here. The device's operational status is contingent upon the completion of the initial configuration process, which necessitates user intervention for optimal functionality. So it's like people who even understand the meaning, they will not want to read so technical content. So it all can boil down to your device works after you set it up for the first time, and you need to help it restart. So yeah, again, you need to make it readable and just have someone else review it for you and get their inputs and adjust the content accordingly. All right, before I go into the different types of microcopy and best practices for writing them, does anyone have any questions they want to ask? We can spare 2 minutes, I think. Um, you guys can raise your hands if you have any questions. Yeah, Disha, uh, you can
Yeah, hi
open.
Shivani.
Hi.
So Shivani, ideally, even before we start writing microcopies, shouldn't we be defining the tone and mood or the voice of,
Yeah.
our brand? Because that is very critical before even before. I mean, that's the first step that I have
Hmm.
understood that that should be the first step. What kind of target audience or who are our users? And
Yeah, yeah,
depending on that, we define how the kind of language. So sometimes concise sentences might not be the right thing. While I completely understand with the examples that you have
hmm.
shared here, but sometimes we need to give them the technical reasons behind an error occurring,
Yeah,
or sometimes we need not, depending on who the users are of a
yeah,
product. Right. So,
yeah.
how do you generally go about? My question is, how do you generally, go about analyzing what tone or what voice would you want to go ahead with? Is that defined by the content team or is that defined by the UX team or UX principles?
Actually, it's both. Uh, so what happens? Uh, s- I'll take an example of my company only. So usually, when we are presented with a requirement, what we do, uh, we analyze the problem, and then we figure out the target audience. It could be somebody who it could be an administrator for whom we are writing the copy, and they can handle a little more technical details. So first, we determine the target audience, and like you said, we also keep the voice and tone in mind. But we don't do it separately for each microcopy because uh, in my company, and I've seen in other companies as well, people prepare voice and tone guidelines when they are starting the UX writing or content design team, and the the voice and tone guidelines, it's like a style guide. So it has all the varying various tones you will use for each kind of scenarios. And if a new scenario arises, then you have to first adapt your tone accordingly, and then you have to document it. Afterwards, you can write your content. I agree with what you said. I was Before starting the activity, I was going to uh, discuss a little bit about tone and voice. So yes, it is very important. Did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. All right.
There are some questions though in the chat around
All
this
right.
topic.
Okay. All right. Let me check. I have 1 minute, so I'll. Uh, all right. What's the criticality of a technical writer for the role of microcopy? I mean, what's the level of dependency for writing a microcopy? It depends. Like it depends from company to company, and if there are, if they do not have the budget for a UX writer, they will ask other types of writers in the company to write the microcopy. And I did not understand the criticality part. Like it's not in the job, it's not something technical writers must know. But yeah, if the company does not have a UX writer, if it's a special case, then they might need to learn how to write a microcopy and develop their skills and work on microcopies. Second is by Ravi. Are there any specific style guides that we follow while writing microcopy? Okay. So I guess you guys can follow Intuit. Intuit has a very nice it's called content design system. When you come into UX, it becomes a content design system which has detailed guidelines for styles and voice and tone. One is Intuit. Microsoft has a very good style guide. The latest one, I mean, you can refer to that. And the next question is also by Ravi. Um, who sets the tone and style? It's usually the writers, the UX writers. If there is not a UX writing team in place, then technical writers have to take on the role. But yeah, it is determined based on your interaction with the PM, because they will give you some inputs, considering which you will set the tone and style. So I hope that answers the questions. All right. So if your product has a technical workflow, a technical writer could do it. Keeping the UX writing principle and the space constraints or number of limited words we can use. Please let me know if I'm not. Okay, so here is this thing. Now, it was asked by Pankaj. So, uh, UX writing and technical writing are very different. Very different. In technical writing, you're allowed to write, like technical writers write. When you come to UX writing, you have to completely shift your writing style. So, but if you're familiar with the best practices and you can keep practicing them, then of course you can uh, write the microcopy. Obviously, you have to know the space constraint, and uh, there is no set number of limited words you can use. You have to decide that for yourself. After looking at the screen, okay, this is the space in which I have to fit my microcopy. Uh, you can you need to decide the number of words accordingly. All right, I'm moving on now. Maybe we can cover the rest of the questions at the end. All right. All right. So uh, there are many kinds of microcopy. We have error message, CTA, forms and UI labels, form validation messages, which are just those messages that appear when you're filling the form, like when if you're typing a wrong password in a wrong format, below the field, you will see a notification or some sort of message key. Okay, you need to avoid special characters or things like that. Second is notification, and it usually comes up when when uh, you need to be alerted by about something. Feature names also come under microcopy. These are usually kept decided by product managers, but you can but in my company, in other companies I've seen, UX writers are the ones who decide feature names. Help text, I'll discuss in detail a little later, but help text is nothing but the if you're trying to explain a particular setting or a particular button or anything that you need to explain, you can provide a question mark or a I symbol at the end of that button, and when the user hovers over it, they'll see some text to help them understand what that particular element is for. Next is tooltip. It is a little like help text only, but it is sort of like a tip, uh, which is what the name implies. So, uh, about a certain tool, you're giving the user some sort of tip. Okay, you can use this to do that. You can click on next to go to the next page, something like that. Then there are onboarding experiences, which are nothing but when you onboard new users onto your product. So these can be very detailed screens, uh, and can have interactive tutorials. And yeah, so these are some of the types of microcopy, but there are many, many other types. Uh, any content you see in the product is a microcopy. Um, all right. So let's talk a little about UI and form labels and then form validations. So in UI, you will find many kinds of labels. It can be, menu labels, setting labels. In forms, there are field labels, or, sometimes forms are divided into sections. So those sections have labels. So while writing a UI or form label, you have to be very clear and direct. You will likely not have much space here, so it's best to use as less words as possible while still conveying the required information. Second is position labels for easy understanding, which means you have to give the labels, you have to put the labels in a place the user can see. If your, let's say, if your text is against a black background, or there is a black object behind it or near it, which blocks the user from actually reading the text properly, then chances are your text can be missed. It is best to put labels, if it's a field, it's best to put the labels on the left hand side and fields on the right hand side. Third is you have to highlight optional fields, or you can mark the required fields with an asterisk. This will make it easy for the user to distinguish between the required and unnecessary fields, and it will help them, complete the form faster. Form validations are, I've already, given a bit of introduction about them. So form validations can appear at the top of the form or inline. At the top of the form, it can be something like, if you're filling a form and you left out some fields that need to be filled, at the top you can have a validation that says, you need to fill in the required fields. And the inline validations can be the messages that appear below the field while you're filling the, while you're entering a value in that field. So these validations are dynamic and So you have to keep in mind that your message is very specific, and you have to use a very positive and encouraging tone, because the user might keep running into errors. You cannot uh, use a tone that brings them down. Uh, the next practice is that you have to provide feedback for the user for each field separately. It helps the user know what exactly is wrong, and it helps them in providing the right kind of value for a field. Lastly, we have consistency. Consistency is very important when you're writing microcopy, as it is for technical writing as well. But in UX, if you're not consistent, uh, user will end up getting confused. So if a similar validation occurs elsewhere, you can use the same copy for both scenarios. But even if the scenarios are different, the kind of language you're using, the kind of tone you're using, that should remain consistent. Uh, I gave an example earlier of an error message. So if you're using a formal tone in most of your error messages, you cannot decide to go casual in one or two instances. So that is very important to keep in mind while writing microcopy. Next up, we have feature names. So while writing feature names, we have to choose simple and descriptive names. Uh, they should just convey what the feature is for. You don't need to, give all the information up. You don't. So there is so much about a feature that you can tell the user, but you have to cut all that information down to the most important one. You have to avoid complicated jargon. Any technical words you cannot, you should prefer to not write. And at the end, once you have written, you need to validate those names with users to ensure they are clear and they resonate with the user. I have given an example on the left, sorry, right. Instead of saying expenditure management, uh, suppose this is a new feature. Instead of saying expenditure management, which is what the actual requirement was from customer, we can just go for something like budgeting. Budgeting is easy, everybody knows what it means, and it is light to read. So go for feature names that are simple and easy to read and understand. Next up, we have call to action. Call to actions, I am sure all of you must be pretty familiar with. They guide users towards uh, desired actions, and they're found on buttons and links that lead to some page or URL. Uh, while writing call to actions, you have to use an action-oriented language. You have to make sure the copy is specific and leads users towards a clear outcome. Uh, it should be benefit driven, and you should use urgency wisely. Uh, by use urgency wisely, I mean maybe you have seen one of those pages where they're selling a product, and instead of saying buy now, you can use something because the buying now is not that urgent. So instead of creating unnecessary sense of urgency, uh, you can just convey the meaning in simple words and get rid of the words that create unnecessary urgency. If you look at the example on the right, the first one is click to view the product, and the second one is view now. So I think you guys can see how simple the first one, sorry, the second one is. Instead of uh, explaining the whole thing, you can just boil it down to one or two sentences. What buttons or call to actions are usually, preferred when preferred short. All right. Next up, we have help text. Help text is nothing but, as I already explained, these are brief phrases or sentences that explain a particular element in the UI. Help text should be brief and relevant, and you can use examples if you feel users need to look at them to understand the purpose of a feature or an element better. You need to properly strategically place these types of microcopy in places where users might need it the most. Uh, just an example would be the complicated features that even your UX designers or product managers are not able to simplify for the user. So if you put a help text like this, it will give users some clarity into what the that particular feature or that element will do. Instead of saying export project jet and export task list, you can add a help text like this. Something short uh, and simple does the work here. Error messages, everybody encounters them, and I am one of those people who gets most frustrated. So, error messages should clearly communicate issues in a way that is constructive, and when needed, it should also reassure the user. The goal is to help the user find a solution to that error, and at the same time, they should not feel frustrated or that it is their fault that the error occurred in the first place. So you have to use empathetic or friendly tone. You have to always try to provide an actionable solution, and you have to avoid blame and humor, especially for those error scenarios where the error is very critical. If you look at the example on the right, instead of giving this error message, operation could not be completed. WD General Error Network 404, retry. And its heading is error 404. It does not tell the user anything. Instead of that, you can write something like the issue you're having is that you do not have any internet, which is the heading. And then you can convey the issue in a little more detail, like poor network connection detected. Please check your connectivity. So the first sentence is the issue that you're describing, and the second one is the actionable solution. And once the user has checked their internet connection, they can click on retry to try loading the page again. Uh, Also, when you're writing an error message, you should try to solve their problem. You should not sound condescending. This is a notification. A goal of a notification is to inform the user about an event within the app, and notifications should be very relevant to the user's context. They should be timely and clear. You have to use a persuasive language to encourage action in places where you're trying to get your content to get some conversion done. If you look at the example, this is a screenshot from a food delivery app in US. The first one just says your order was successfully received. which is okay, but it's not so great. Instead, if you write something like this, which reassures the user, user will feel, much more in sync with the, sorry, much more in sync with the app. This one reassures the user. This one just tells the user, okay, you have placed the order and we have received it. So, yeah, so it helps to modify your content based on the user's mindset, because after the user places the order, they want to know if, if something is going to happen after it, that their food is on way. So, yeah, so as always, keep the notifications clear and concise and very simple. Onboarding. Onboarding screens look like this. So they help new users learn how to navigate the app. They're like much like, show around what is located where and how can you get a certain task done. So in the onboarding experiences, you have to keep the copy simple and engaging. You have to gradually introduce features so that you do not overwhelm the users and thereby, increase their cognitive load. You have to include interactive tutorials for engagement. Interactive tutorials can be, the user logs into the app and then they're presented with a bit of content about what all they can do with the app. They can click to, click next to go to the next screen, where they'll be given certain some more instructions on the most basic tasks that they're going to perform within the application. So that's what I mean by interactive. Uh, when you're including interactive tutorials in onboarding, even the button copies that you're using, that has to be very simple and to the point. Now, tone of voice. Can people raise their hand? How many of you are familiar with tone of voice? All right. Okay. So, when I was preparing this workshop, I had it in my mind. Most of the people are already writers, but so I did not discuss tone in detail. But before we begin the activity, I would just like to discuss it a little bit. Tone of voice is how your content basically sounds. Like, imagine you're talking to someone when you're angry. You sound angry, agitated. The words you use are negative. Whereas if you are happy, you got a promotion. The way you talk to someone, it's gonna change. You're going to be happy. Your tone will be very uplifting, very positive, and enthusiastic. Now, tone and clarity are very important when you're writing microcopy. Um, why? Because tone influences how users feel. If your copy is not in a tone, uh, that does not match with the way users are feeling, then it will not resonate with the users. Clarity is important because it prevents any confusion uh, on the user's end, and both are crucial for positive interactions. If you look at the screen, the first screen has some content. Uh, the user is trying to, book, and they're looking for hotels. So the error copy and the button copy, it's written very poorly. It's not readable, and the tone, like I said, is negative. If you start the if you start the error message with failed, the user is going to feel like they're at fault or something. And the button text is also very long, and there is a lot of room for confusion. It says multiple hotel results or no results. We need to give the user the specific reason. So we resolve that in the second microcopy. It just says we couldn't find the hotels you were looking for at this time, and try again. So with this, I just want to emphasize, while you do not need to tell user everything, you need to give them just enough information to, go about their task. So this is a very good example of how you can, make your microcopy positive and clear to the user. All right. While writing microcopy, you have to adapt it according to the tone of the context. I've already said, but I'll say it again. All organizations have different voice and tone guidelines. That said, tone keeps changing according to the situation. Uh, the copy's tone needs to be changed based on the mood of the user or the context. Of some examples are error messages. If the user has run into an error, they will be likely frustrated, and they'll be frustrated. And if you use an authoritative tone, the user might feel a little bad because they're already facing a problem. So instead of you being empathetic with them, if you're just giving them orders, if your copy sounds like the app is giving the user an order to do things right, the user is going to be frustrated and very mad. So uh, success messages can have a enthusiastic tone, because success messages are usually, the beacon of some task going well, like an order getting placed properly and a transaction went through successfully. So for those, you can use enthusiastic tone. But all this while, you have to keep in mind that the tone you're using, be it enthusiastic or respectful, whichever tone, it needs to be in alignment with your company's voice and tone guidelines. So, for example, I'll give you an example of my company only. My company uses a very formal tone, extremely formal tone. So we, even for success messages, we can be a little cheerful, but we are not supposed to, go over the board and say, "Hooray! Uh, you have successfully, created a investigation." We are not we cannot say that. So we have to tailor the content, the varying, even it even in the specific type of tone that you have picked for a particular context, there are varying levels. So I can be a little enthusiastic but not enthusiastic up to the level of 10. That might freak the user out because our user base is mostly investigators and law professionals from Canada and US, and they are, as I've heard, very serious people. So after this, I have an activity. It's going to be a collaborative activity, and you guys are going to be split into the groups of 10 people. So given you're 60 people, so there'll be 6 groups. And what you have to do is, I'll explain the tasks now.
Shivani,
Yeah,
just sorry to interrupt. So yeah, there are 60 registrations, but right now we have, including me and you, there are 27. So there will be 25 participants.
all right.
So you
Then,
want, we can have a group of 6, 5 each probably. Is that okay?
yeah, I think that works.
Okay, sure.
All right. So, I'll just go on to the activity now. All right. Okay, the activity is you have to pick an app as a group, decide any app, and choose any three scenarios from it. The scenarios you can choose are error message, notification message, and feature name. Now, together as a group, you have to decide on an appropriate tone of voice for each scenario. And again, as a group, you have to write the microcopy for each scenario. In UX, everything we do is collaborative, that which is why I made this activity, a group activity. So while writing the microcopy, keep your tone of voice in mind and give suggestions to each other. And in the end, come up with the final microcopy. Uh, Come back to the main meeting, and I'll give feedback as much as possible. So again, this is a group activity, so don't feel shy and make your thoughts heard to other people. Um, yeah,
So Shivani, how much time did you mention for the
a-
activity?
actually, I was going to give 30 minutes, but we are short on time.
Yeah.
I think 20 minutes. Would that work, Puneet? Or 15 minutes? Because 5 minutes we will need for people to present to me.
So let's try for 15 minutes if that's possible,
Yeah.
because otherwise we will be late.
All right. And remember, guys, there is no correct answer. And I am typing something simple, concise, and uh, clear. Just keep these three principles in mind, and you're golden. And okay, Puneet, can you split them in groups?
Sure. Just 1 minute. So 5
Hmm,
persons each, it will automatically assign, and
hmm,
we will time it for 15 minutes. So
hmm,
technically that means in 15 minutes, the group will automatically dissolve. Okay.
hmm,
So all of you must wind up in that period.
hmm. All right. And in this time, I'll just take some time to answer the questions. If anybody in the breakout rooms has any questions, they can drop in a message. I'll respond or I'll come to the breakout room.
Probably, yeah. So whichever way it works, fine. So
Yeah.
they can message and you can get that. Otherwise, we will assign. Okay, I'm assigning the groups now, right?
All right.
Hello. Hello.
Hi.
Hi. So they were asking us to pick an app, right?
Yes.
So, like, what probably, I think we may have to be a little fast on this. I'm not sure about like thing. Any inputs? Hello.
Uh, let's pick a weather app.
Okay. Okay. Um, Not much UX part in that, no? Like,
Or maybe yeah, Rapido or Namma Yatri kind of thing. I can't think of anything else. I'm sorry. You all can suggest. I'm fine with it.
any other, please? Thank you.
A very badly done app. Now, where do we go hunting for it?
Uh, I'm not getting. Okay, shall we go for GPay? Stuff, something if we get out of that. I'm not sure.
Okay.
So if we are going for GPay, how do we do it? Like, pick an app and choose any three scenarios from it. What
Mm-hmm.
are the probable three? Like error message.
Um, uh,
Notification.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you guys.
Yeah.
It can be fictional scenarios also. It need not be real. So it could be like you're paying someone and you ran into an error. The payment
Yes.
doesn't get through, something like that.
Yeah. That's cool. Okay. So error message you are choosing. Like we are choosing, right?
We have to
Hmm.
choose all the three, right?
Yeah, all the three.
Error message. So what all things if we are writing error message, what are the probable things we have to write? Like a scenario and
No, just the
Issue,
message will do. Just the message will do, right?
no,
Issue?
no. In what scenario that message comes up, that should be there, right? That's what, like, I don't know the template of a microcopy, how it goes. Yeah.
there
Is
is
it a button?
usually,
Is
sorry
it
to
a message?
interrupt you guys, just hearts are trying to help. In an error message, there is no fixed template, but the best recommended way to go about this is to start with the issue and then give a solution.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So first we are asked to decide the tone, right? Like together decide the appropriate tone of the voice for each scenario. So, like, hello guys.
We'll keep it
Yeah.
friendly. We'll keep it
Yeah.
friendly, but not very casual. Okay, so let it not be very business-like also, and let it not be very casual in between kind of thing.
Okay.
So we're going Google Pay, right? I mean GPay, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Some payment app will go kind of fictional payment app.
Okay.
Yes.
So is one is notification, one is error message,
Error
and one
message.
more is feature name, right?
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Something like if we for error message, we can come with something like the recipient bank is not responding, kind of message. Generally, we get right. The recipient's
Yeah.
bank is facing some issue. Uh, Payment is late. So like, that's
Spend bank. Okay. Recipient bank is not responding. Okay. So if the issue is the recipient bank is not responding, the error message can be like what? It shouldn't be lengthy. It should be clear, concise, and like what, short, simple. That is only like a.
uh, for the error thing, we can give a name. For example, oops or not something like not oops, but something much more professional like
Okay. Can
something
we
is
use
not.
sorry type of thing and all? Sorry, it's not advisable, no? Sorry, because it is not
No,
see,
sorry is
bank
No,
is
not.
it's
not.
not specific like sorry is like very basic thing, but uh,
We can say something went wrong with Rajan's
yeah,
bank server. Let's try again.
yeah,
Try again.
Yeah, even I
yeah.
was thinking that when recipient bank server problem, I just wrote without anything. Try again after some time. Will that go good? So issue I have written, the recipient bank is not responding. So error message can be, I did not get any word like that kind of oops, sorry, or kind of. So recipient bank server problem, try again after some time. So, but then try again, okay, that we need not judge, no, whether there will be a button to try again or like, okay, then one we will keep it like that.
Yeah, you won't have to try again, I guess. If there is an issue with the recipient bank, the transaction will be ended. Contact your customer care.
Yeah, 1 second. So if I paste something in the chat, it will be like dissolved, like after some time.
No, it will stay because
It
you
will be.
guys are in the main room, right?
Oh, okay, okay.
Hmm.
So it will be visible to everybody, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, so notification means so this is an error message. Notification example, anything?
Like you get pop-up notifications, right, in your status bar in your phone,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. But I'm
Something like
thinking
that.
example, I'm thinking like for
All
this
right.
You've
payment.
received $100,000. Received $100,000 payment from somewhere.
Uh, payment reminder, maybe for example, yeah, it is salary day, make your bills, make make your payment done like that. Is a notification, like somewhat relatable. Like we are getting many of notifications like this.
So we can write as a heading something like in bold payment success, and then like you payment success will come for if some other person is, it's a kind of like different, no, we are sending to other person. So payment success means from
Not,
our part we are getting, right?
this is notification, right? This can be anything related to the app, as far as I understood.
Okay. So what about like feature means?
Feature name.
Yeah.
So
So one tab for payment received, something like that. Money coming in, one tab for money going out. So
no, I did not get that. Feature name means this is
there's a new feature in the product, and you have to come up with a name for it.
See, like one more thing, when we wrote, when like we were discussing error message, recipient bank server problem, like try after some time we have to, we have thought, right? So when it comes to notification, same tone we have to write, na? Something
Yes.
like payment series, for example, recipient bank server problem. That is the problem. Now notification ke liye payment success. That is the thing. The other is like call to an action. Error message ke liye try after some time. Notification ke liye we don't have any CTA. So information will come there, right? Your
payment is
you have,
successful.
you have successfully paid. So yeah, how to write that one? That's what your payment is successful. We will write,
You've
or like
transferred
you
the
have
money.
successful.
The money's transferred, or your bill is paid.
Yeah, that's what the other one was like. Try again after some the instruction. Okay, this is an information, right? So in what tone we have to write? You have successfully paid, or your payment is successful.
Your
That I'm
payment is
asking.
successful works.
But then we are not writing the amount, right?
No.
Okay.
Or you have successfully transferred the money, or you, if you want to specify the amount, we can say you've successfully transferred. You have transferred $100,000.
Okay, you have successfully paid this much to this person.
Yeah.
Fine. Okay.
Transferred 100K to your payment of 100K is processed or is paid to Rajan, whoever he is.
Okay. Feature name, new feature. What can be?
New feature.
New feature. We have to write new feature and then new feature, or
Just one name. Name will do.
Yeah, just name.
Received payments received. Or pending payments.
okay.
Pending bills. I don't know. Something like that.
Okay. Failed transactions. A list of things, yeah, can be.
Yeah, whatever. And you present, okay?
Huh? No, that I did not expect. Like,
Please. I'm very bad at all this.
I don't think so.
I
We
can
may
only
have
talk.
to.
I can only talk behind the scenes. I can't do anything in front.
Same here actually, but somebody has to talk now. That's why I came. Okay. Like,
And
I
you
don't think so.
are,
We'll be
I didn't get your name. You are
I'm Darshana.
Dashna. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, we are done.
All right.
But yeah, I don't think so.
Great.
Too shorter time.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, but you know what? When you get a requirement like this, they will just ask you to, get me a copy within next 20 minutes. Because people underestimate this thing. They think because the copy is so short, they don't need so much time. So maybe this was a learning experience in a way. But yeah, okay. So who wants to go first?
Uh, can we?
Nagashri, right?
Yes.
All right. Just guys, when you're presenting, no, just give me the name of the app, scenario, followed by the tone, and the actual copy. Okay. Yeah. Please go ahead.
Zomato application we have chosen.
Hmm.
Food delivery application.
So the error message is a transaction failed, and CTA can be please try again. Notification message, happy birthday, exclamation mark, unlock your surprise coupons.
All
And
right.
the feature name is add money.
All right. And what was the tone you guys used for all these three? For the first one, what was the tone of voice you decided?
One second. um, it is friendly.
Okay. And same for the notification?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And the feature was, that's obvious. It's a minimal plateau. Okay. So the scenario is that the transaction had failed. So all right, CTAs are usually buttons. So
Mm-hmm.
the copy is good. It conveys the meaning, but maybe we could have you could have made it a little conversational, like uh, your transaction has failed. So when we bring the user into the conversation, it engages the user. Just telling them the problem, like transaction failed. Okay, the user already understands that. We need to talk to the user and make so that the user feels engaged. And when you're doing this, you have to just use your everyday language. You don't have to, use any fancy words or anything. So CTA is good, but since it's a button, usually if you guys can maybe try again and stop there. But anyways, a good error message. Um, the notification message, happy birthday, unlock your surprise coupons. It's good. It's really good. And the feature name is add money. All right, that makes sense. It's very to the point. And the scenario I think you guys would pick to is the new feature is there, and uh, you want to let the user know they can now start adding the money, right?
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. All right. Um, okay, great job, guys. Uh,
Thank you.
yeah,
Thanks for your.
just remember to be conversational
Yeah.
and show a little empathy in your copy. That's all. Uh, or there is one thing I missed saying. Maybe you could start with something like, "Sorry, your transaction failed," so that the user feels better. If you directly tell the user, if I had gone with something like failure in transaction, or uh, a negative tone, basically, the user will not be very happy with the output. All right. Okay. Next, who would like? Yeah.
Shivani,
Yeah.
Darshana here. That the tone friendly and casual, starting with that. That is what we have done. Ravi, Pankaj, and like I forgot the names actually. Sorry, guys. But yeah,
All right. Exam.
excitement, the GPay kind of thing. And in between that, one thing what I wanted to ask is like about the usage of sorry and please kind of stuff in UX.
Yeah.
How do we judge like whether to use? Because every time if we use means it will be like kind of monotonous. Every time when the message comes, sorry, sorry, sorry kind of thing. So
All right. Okay,
kind
so
of
we have to judge based on the criticality of the situation. If it's something, put yourself in the user's shoes. Just think if it was some important task that they were trying to perform, a very important task, and the error uh, could cost them, if the error can cost them a huge loss, or their all their past efforts go in vain, something like that is happening, then you can add a few more words. It's better to use please and sorry. In generally, you don't need to use please and sorry. You make up for it using other words, like making your copy conversational and genuine and authentic. So I hope that answered your question.
Yeah. And one more thing is like the usage of articles. How important is to use the articles every time? For example, the and all will like in a sentence when we frame, we use so many articles like to make the sentence correct. But what do you feel? Like, no, I don't know what I'm trying to ask is like, is it relevant to use?
Yeah, it is. It is relevant because without the articles, the sentence will not make sense.
ಕಾನ್ಫರೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಬಿಟ್ಟೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಫೋನ್ ಎತ್ತಕ್ಕ
Namita, can you put yourself on mute? We could hear you. All right. So the articles are important when if losing them would make the sentence nonsense. So, um, so yeah, they are important. In some cases, for example, schedule a demo. There is a button called schedule a demo. Uh, you can just write schedule demo. You don't need a so much. It's
Yeah.
implied that the demo is one. So in
Yeah.
those cases where it's implied, you don't need to use the article. All right,
Okay.
so I'll quickly go over your output.
Yeah.
The tone
G-
is friendly and casual for all the scenarios. And the error message issue is the recipient bank is not responding. Recipient bank server problem, try again after some time. All right. So the first sentence itself, like it's good. The error message does convey the information, but it lacks empathy for the user. So recipient bank server problem, it's like those um, texts written by sometimes developers write those text when writers are not available, right? So instead, maybe you could go with something like the bank you were trying to wait a minute. What is the scenario? You're trying to transfer some money.
Yeah.
All right. So the bank has a server issue. Try again up. Try again later. I think that much conveys the meaning.
How
So
does this sound? Something went wrong with Rajan's bank server. Try again.
uh,
I mean, the person you're transferring the money to, I'm just assuming that person's name is Rajan or whatever.
yeah. So no, you don't need to give the name of the bank or the user, the person. You can just say. Can you say it
Something
again?
went wrong with something went wrong with the bank server. Is that okay?
Yeah, that works.
Try again.
Yeah, that works.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
perfect.
Thank you.
All right. Notification payment success. You have successfully paid 3,000 to name. Yeah, this is good. But just use the exclamation marks very wisely.
Sparingly. Yeah.
Yeah. Feature name, failed transaction. I think this can be made more concise because usually feature names are displayed as buttons or in drop down lists of various things user can choose. So there you can if it's a button or uh, something like that, you need to make it more concise. Something like maybe failed transactions. Mm, Actually, what was the scenario that you picked up?
I was just thinking that the list of failed transactions can be listed in a separate thing, like where there is like hyperlink kind of stuff with failed transaction underlined in blue color stuff, no? So we can go and all the failed
And
transactions in one go.
all right, so while writing microcopy, you have to keep in mind where the feature name will appear. Will it be a button or text, or will it be placed somewhere? Where did you visualize it appearing?
I was just while writing, I was visualizing in the first part where we have the list of things, and for example, if it is GPay, we'll have so many things, right?
Okay.
Icons and all will be having,
All
or
right.
like in the show history kind of stuff. Same again,
Hmm.
like fair transaction, short
All right.
transactions would be there, right? Somewhere
Yeah.
there.
All right. So my only feedback is failed is a bit of a negative word, and PMs usually hate the word failed. So
Okay.
maybe you could go with unsuccessful. Uh,
Okay.
it still means the same thing, but fail is a word people are, they do not respond to it well. So yeah, otherwise, your copy serves the purpose. It's perfect.
Okay.
So next, I'll Gladys, Shruti, and others. The app you picked was Swiggy. Uh, Scenario, feature name, tone upbeat, microcopy. Today's deals. Okay, you guys have not written the scenario, right? So I'm not able to.
Shivani, Shrutika here. The
Yeah,
scenario is
Shruti.
just the heading for what you had asked us. So under scenario, the first scenario you had asked was feature name.
Hmm.
So the feature name was for a feature in Swiggy where after opening Swiggy you get an option to view today's deals available
Hmm.
across all the mini apps that are there inside Swiggy. For example, Dine Out or Instamart.
Hmm.
So what are the deals that are available today across all of these mini apps inside Swiggy? So it's the feature name is just today's deals, which is again like a tile on the
Hmm.
home screen of the app,
All right.
which will
Okay.
list down all the offers and whatever discount codes or if anything is available. So the name for that feature is today's deals. And we couldn't reach the notification part. We were discussing, but then the session timed out. An error message was where a user ends up typing a wrong code, coupon code.
Okay. All right. So here the tone is great. Uh, I can understand why you picked it up. The microcopy, consider using the correct code. So I uh, I think we can just tell the user first the issue, what is the issue, that the code is incorrect, and then uh, you can say use the correct code or consider using the correct code.
Got it.
All right.
Yeah. Thanks, Shiva.
Okay, no problem. Moving on.
Make Shivani, doesn't it becomes a repetition? Because if we are saying consider using the correct code, necessarily means that the code that you have entered is incorrect.
Yeah, but you're starting with oh. So if you're starting with oh, usually it's preferred if it's followed by the actual, mention of the error.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, that's why if oh was not there, then you could have just said use the correct code. Also, I just noticed the consider part, no, it could be a lit. Maybe you can remove it and just say use the correct code,
Right.
because
So in this case, just being direct doesn't mean the tone is rude, right? We
no,
can
no,
just be very clear and direct.
yeah,
So
clear, as long as you are writing with empathy in mind. You're golden. So Shruti, you had a question.
yeah, I was about to ask about the tone. Um,
Hmm.
what would be the correct tone to use here? Would it be empathetic, encouraging, helpful, or what? We zeroed down on encouraging and helpful, but at the base of it, would empathy be being empathetic would be the uh, core tone?
Yeah, the core tone actually that is applicable to all the scenarios everywhere in the, in within a product. So, but yeah, it helps to particularly mention it when you're narrowing down, deciding on a tone. So yeah, empathetic as and the same time encouraging and helpful. Because
it.
if you don't have empathy, you cannot encourage
Correct.
or be helpful.
Correct. Got it. Thanks, Shivani.
All right. So last one is by Akshita Lal. It's again a payment transaction app. Feature name is voice pay. Can anybody speak for this?
Yes, Shivani. The feature is voice pay. Moment
Hmm.
the payment is made through voice action,
Hmm. All right.
and the error message.
Okay, the bank server is down. Try again after some time. So use a different bank account. Okay. Okay. This is good. Uh, but you can improve it a little bit. How you need to split the second sentence because it's very wrong. Sorry, not wrong, long. So it's very long, and if you split it in half, uh, or you cut down a few words, you can make it easier and quicker for the user to read. Maybe something like try try again later, or use another account. As simple as that. So let's only use the words that are extremely necessary, and all the other words you can cut down. CTA, you guys have picked home, which is obvious home. Uh, Instead, if you guys could have come up with, some, by the way, which is, oh, this is a CTA for the scenario number 2, right? I
Yeah.
thought this was, all right. I thought this was something else. All right. So, all right. I think if nobody else has to, present, I think we're done for the workshop. And I just wanted to remind you guys three very important things. You have to be always keeping in mind three things: simple, clear, and concise. With each version of your microcopy, you have to make it simpler, clearer, and concise. Uh, More concise, that is, and uh, carefully choose each word. You have to use words like your life is dependent on it. You cannot use extra words at all. And your goal should be to guide users, and you have to have some empathy for them. Through this, you can guide them seamlessly throughout their user or customer journey within your product or app. So I just wanted to thank everyone for being with me here today. And I wanted to thank Punit and TWT for their help in organizing this session. If you guys